Funding for Schaefer-Lewis is provided by
Squarespace, the sponsor of today's video. The 98th Academy Awards have come and gone. Finally! I love award season, but I was ready for this shit to wrap up a month ago. What possible justification could there be for holding the ceremony halfway through March? We've had to endure some of the dumbest discourse imaginable. Like, oh, did you hear that Jessie Buckley doesn't like cats? Oh my god, Timothée Chalamet made a correct statement about the popularity of opera and ballet, but nobody actually understands what he said? Hamnet is an aesthetically and artistically irresponsible misery porn picture. One battle after another is problematic because the villain who is evil fetishizes black women. Sinners has the same structure as a Marvel movie, and Marvel is bad. This is the kind of discourse you get when there isn't a larger-than-life disaster piece like Emilia Perez to serve as the de facto Oscar villain. I apologize for not recognizing its crucial role in the award ecosystem. Of course, the bigger problem with the obnoxious discourse this year is probably just the fact that everyone got bored because this shit should have been over a month ago. You get an excuse this year thanks to the Winter Olympics, but next year, I want to see this shit wrapped up by Valentine's Day. Anyway, how were the awards themselves? Really great, I like the ceremony a lot. We have now gone 4 years in a row where the Oscars were actually enjoyable and fun. And this is the first year that I was actually expecting them to be. The new status quo is Oscars good. Can you believe it? Conan is seriously the best thing to happen to this show in the past 10 years. And nowhere is that more apparent than with the cold open. Maybe the funniest opening to the Oscar ceremony of all time. Like, it was, I literally could not stop laughing the entire time, levels of funny. Taking the already incredible child scene in Weapons and seamlessly integrating it into all these other movies in such clever ways. It felt like an amazing celebration of the year in movies, like the Oscars should be. And that's on top of it being one of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV. Absolutely incredible, and his other jokes really killed. I particularly liked how much they lampooned some of the worst trends plaguing the movies in recent years. Like the Casablanca bit with the overly expository dialogue that assumes you're on your phone while watching was fantastic. I'm watching a lot of Netflix original movies for a video no one asked me to do and I regret doing wholeheartedly, so this bit was extremely cathartic, let me tell ya. I liked seeing Grogu there. You know, before we transition to a commercial for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Stay classy, Disney. But the main thing that really sold that segment was Conan calling Grogu out for being unable to clap. Where do you come up with this stuff? It was pretty epic when he said 6'7", and when Mr. Beast was revealed to be the next host also. Ironically, I think Conan's biggest miss of the night was his attempt to make a new Leo meme. It was cute in an out-of-touch grandpa way, but yeah, no one using this. Felt like the kind of thing Ellen would have done. The other presenters were a little hit or miss. Like, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were kinda whatever. The Bridesmaids cast was initially funny, but then the bit went on for way too long. It's not like people have speeches they need to give or anything. And I could give Jimmy Kimmel a little leeway, since I unfortunately had to take his side with the whole show cancellation thing. But he just doesn't have it comedically. Doing one joke about the Melania movie would have been fine. 2 is too predictable, and it just reminds people that you don't have any other kinds of jokes besides political ones. But let's see. I liked Kumail Nanjiani coming up with short appropriate versions of movie titles. I don't know why they decided to make Best Picture a Moulin Rouge reunion, but I was all for it. That moment was for me specifically. Will Arnett shit-talking AI and Channing Tatum shouting out BoJack Horseman was pretty neat. Look at that, BoJack made it to the Oscars after all. Using the Fab 5 format for casting and nothing else was very appropriate and made the new category feel more special. And finally, it's just nice to hear a loud, unambiguous Free Palestine from Javier Bardem get its rightful applause. Overall, I thought the ceremony was very well paced without too much time-wasting bullshit this year. Aside from a couple of presenter bits that didn't need to go on as long as they did. Genuinely, who cares about the 15th anniversary of Bridesmaids? Now to be clear, when I say that, I am not saying Bridesmaids is a bad movie. I am saying that it doesn't have the same cultural relevance in our modern society that it used to, and that I don't want other films to become as irrelevant. We all understand what I was trying to say, right? Anyway, let's talk about the winners now. I previously called Amy Madigan the weakest performance in the supporting actress category this year, and I still think she is. But damn it, when I saw that clip of her gleefully hamming it up in the movie, something just snapped into place for me. I was like, damn, it's cool that she's nominated for this. And then she won, and I was like, damn, it's cool that a performance like this won. When was the last horror movie villain performance that won an Oscar? Genuinely asking because I do not know. I thought it was so sweet watching her go up to the stage, and her speech genuinely moved me a lot. I loved hearing her talk about how she was alone on this award circuit, but the Sinners and One Battle people invited her into their fold. It was a lovely, funny, subtly moving speech that ended up being one of my favorites of the night. I can't be upset that she won, even though I liked all 4 of the other nominees better. I mean, Weapons is an Academy Award-winning film. That's so inspired. And as for Madigan herself, come on, imagine not being charmed by this speech. I think it's genuinely impossible. Animated feature went to K-pop Demon Hunters, yeah, whatever. This is definitely in the lower half of my ranking in terms of all the best animated feature winners, but I do like the movie, and I found the speech pretty moving too. It was annoying when they immediately started playing the music before Michelle L.M. Wong could speak. There are 3 people on the stage. Why do you think it's time to cut them off after only 2 of them have spoken? Oh well, at least they won't do it again to K-pop Demon Hunters. The Girl Who Cried Pearls was a nice surprise and animated short. I much would have preferred Butterfly, but I'm kinda just glad they didn't give it to the f***ass Bear and Tree short. Frankenstein winning makeup, costumes, and production design obviously ruled. Shout out to all the haters and losers out there who bitched about it winning these 3, even though all of them were deserved. You can hate the screenplay and cinematography and non-Alordi performances all you want, but you gotta be stupid if you think the makeup wasn't good in this movie. Get real. And then we got the first decent shocker of the night. One battle after another, beating out the favorite Sinners to win the first ever casting Oscar. And I don't know about you guys, but that was when I knew, oh yeah, one battle after another's taking picture. I didn't need to see any other awards. It was sewn up at this point. I think we may have overestimated the Sinners sweep, my friends. The enthusiasm was definitely there in the room and with the American voters, but it makes sense that the international members of the Academy would go for a more general anti-fascist movie instead of Sinners, which is far more rooted in America's issues specifically. Wait, there's like a dozen other awards before picture I need to talk about. Yeah, casting. One Battle was not my first pick, but it had a ton of great casting touches for its ensemble of minor characters, and of course, Chase Infinity, who should have been nominated. I'm so mad. Oh well. I thought it was really cute how the casting director jokingly jabbed that she won her Oscar before PTA. That made me giggle. The live action short category had a fun twist. I mean, who could have predicted my Squarespace ad segment would win even though it wasn't nominated? That's great. Let me play it for everyone now in honor of its Academy Award. Squarespace is a wonderful online website builder that enables you to create beautiful websites for your business or personal hobby. I adore how easy they make it to showcase your expertise and engage clients with video content on your website. You can make stunning video libraries and even monetize your content by adding a paywall. Perfect for online courses, exclusive tutorials, and premium workshops. If you want to get discovered fast, that's where integrated Squarespace SEO tools come in. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more, letting you pop up more often on search engines and attract way more customers. Squarespace also offers lots of built-in donation tools. You can create a professional, on-brand website that makes it easy to accept one-time or recurring contributions, and engage your supporters. Use built-in email campaigns and marketing tools to connect with your community and inspire more people to support your cause. Check out squarespace.com/ShaeFrillis for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use promo code ShaeFrillis to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Anyway, yeah, the live action short tie. I didn't really care for the singers, but I cannot be upset at all that it won, since my favorite in the category, Two People Exchanging Saliva, also won. I really like the way Kumail Nanjiani handled that. I can't imagine the people who present Oscars are briefed on what to do if a tie occurs, considering this is only the 7th tie in history, I think. But I liked his little riffs in the moment, telling everyone to stay calm, and letting both winners come up one at a time to have their moments. Surely there were more important things for the Saliva guy to talk about than doing another opera and ballet jab. He didn't even get it right. He said theater and ballet. Conan joking about it in the opening speech is fine, because that's the place for it, and also he's funny. This guy needs to grow up. Everybody still talking about the opera and ballet shit after day 2 needs to grow up. Timmy was being a little dickish with how he said it, but ultimately, his statement about the waning popularity of opera and ballet was correct. The way Hollywood has been reacting to this, you'd think he was a domestic abuser. This of course brings us to Sean Penn. I'm not gonna lie, this was one of the most deflating moments of the whole night. It really put me in a bad f***ing mood for longer than I expected. Even after I said I wouldn't be too mad since it was arguably the best performance from my favorite movie of the year. Solely judging the performance in a vacuum, sure, this makes sense and will likely age well years from now. But then you remember it's Sean Penn and your blood starts to boil. No, I fucking hate him. And not showing up to an awards show is far from the biggest reason why. But the fact that we had 4 great actors who did show up and were forced to just sit there as Mr. Doesn't Give a Shit was awarded a 3rd Oscar he'll probably chuck into the Pacific Ocean. It shouldn't make me so mad, but it does. I don't think Skarsgård and Lindo are ever winning Oscars. Lindo didn't even clap, and I do not blame him. The crack Kieran made about Penn just not wanting to show up was very funny, and yeah, that was that. It's an odd situation because looking at the 4 winning performances this year, Penn gave by far the best one in my opinion. But it's just so hard to put that aside when he's such an awful person. At least it didn't hurt the feelings of opera fans though, can you imagine? Moving on to screenplay, these two had long been locked up for Coogler and PTA, and I was so happy to see the two of them get their moments to shine. I was very moved by the In Memoriam segment. I very much wish they could have done a similar thing to the Rob Reiner tribute for David Lynch last year. But it was nice to get something like this for such a legendary director. Avatar won visual effects. What? No way. I actually got a chance to watch Mr. Nobody Against Putin after making my predictions video, where I predicted it to win sight unseen, and then it did. Yeah, it was a really good documentary about a man doing whatever he could to fight authoritarianism. I liked it, even though I definitely would have preferred The Perfect Neighbor to win. F1 won sound. Boo! Sinners won score. Yay! I think at this point, it's time to have a conversation about how Ludwig Göransson might just be the best in the business. This is his 3rd Oscar in 8 years, and he's only 41. The work he's been doing for Coogler and Christopher Nolan is unreal, and I'm sure he has so many masterpiece soundtracks ahead of him. One battle-winning editing was further confirmation that, yeah, we should have just stuck with the default prediction for Best Picture since the Sinner sweep was just an illusion. But it did surprise in cinematography, allowing Autumn Durald Archipel to become the first woman to win in this category. In 98 years, alright. Cool win for sure. I can't even be that mad that the film with the actual best cinematography, Train Dreams, didn't win. International feature going to sentimental value did make sense, despite all the steam Secret Agent has been picking up recently. I much prefer SV, so I'm glad it won. And then there was original song. If it makes you guys feel any better, I thought the I Lied to You performance at the Oscars was better than the Golden performance. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This was a contest between the 3rd best song in Sinners and the 3rd best song in K-pop Demon Hunters. They made the right call in my opinion. Pale Pale Moon and Last Time I Seen the Sun are better songs than I Lied to You. I really think you guys are conflating how good the I Lied to You scene is with how good the actual song is. Yes, How It's Done and Your Idol are also better than Golden. But Golden is a bop, and I love listening to it. I can't even begin to be mad that it took this. It's a lovely victory for Korean artists, and I'm really glad they got a chance to speak. Are you fucking kidding me? This is one of the nastiest speech shutouts I've ever seen at the Oscars. Like, you didn't even give them a full minute. The guy whose first language isn't English pulled out a speech to read, and you didn't give him a chance at all. I don't come here to see celebrities do their stupid fucking riffs. I come here to see artists express sincerity and get recognition for their craft. This is just like when you were trying to shut down the Parasite Best Picture win before the speeches were done. What is your fucking problem? You knew the live performance of Golden was gonna be one of the biggest draws of the ceremony, and you can't even let the people who wrote it speak for longer than a fucking minute? I want to say this pissed me off more than the Sean Penn thing, but I don't know, I really hate Sean Penn. Not as much as the Academy hates Korea, but you know. PTA winning director was nice. Very expected, but a wonderful moment. This guy is my favorite director, and seeing him rewarded for a streak of 9 bangers, plus Inherent Vice, was a wonderful experience. I really appreciated the tribute to his assistant director and co-producer, Adam Sumner, who passed away in late 2024, but posthumously received an Oscar tonight for producing One Battle. I don't see him mentioned that often, but it's really nice to see his work in the film recognized, especially since he's been PTA's assistant director for every movie since There Will Be Blood. I also liked PTA's little comment about how happy he was to have the Oscar for himself. I don't know, fun jokey joke. Best Actor was the least locked up of the night amongst the acting nominees, but it went to Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. On the one hand, this was kind of weird considering Delroy Lindo and Wunmi Musaku were just better in the movie. MBJ was kind of like the 5th or 6th best performance in Sinners, and looking at his filmography and collaborations with Coogler, yeah, his performances in Creed and even Black Panther were better, honestly. And looking at this category, yeah, he was kind of the weakest performance in it, but like, come on. I think he's a better winner than a lot of the recent ones like Will Smith, Brendan Fraser, Rami Malek, Gary Oldman. I think Smoke and Stack feel very distinct, and it's impressive that he brought them to life so vividly. I wouldn't have voted for MBJ, but I'm not going to grumble about this win for years to come. I think it's very cool that he and Coogler both received their Oscars on the same night, since Coogler's entire filmography revolves around Jordan. He gave a pretty simple but sincere and lovely speech, and I'm happy for him. I kinda can't believe that he listed every previous black winner for Best Actor and Actress in 6 seconds. Actually, I can totally believe that. But it was nice to see him pay tribute to them for paving the way for him. I don't know though, are you allowed to mention Will Smith at the Oscars now? Isn't that like saying Macbeth inside of a theater? Anyway, Best Actress, blah blah blah, Jessie Buckley, blah blah blah. I can't even begin to give a shit about this one. I think she was the 4th best in the category, above only Kate Hudson. But also, she's a lovely actress who gave a nice speech, and I'm also happy that she has her Oscar. Go Ireland! Happy belated St. Patrick's Day! And finally, Best Picture. Pretty obvious at this point that One Battle was taking it. I mean, it was just too strong of a film, despite how much passion there was for Sinners. A lot of people compared this race to Parasite's surprise upset against 1917, but while it's arguable that Sinners is on the same level as Parasite, 1917 isn't even in the same stratosphere as One Battle After Another. It was a brawl between two titans, but One Battle never slipped at any point on the road to the Oscars, and this all makes perfect sense in retrospect. Like I said before, I think One Battle just appealed to the international voting body of the Academy more. Plus, a primarily black horror vampire movie was never really going to be their cup of tea, even though they're starting to get better at recognizing movies like this. Sinners being the most nominated film of all time is not nothing. It'll probably have that legacy for quite a while, and 4 awards, including actor and original screenplay, is a pretty good package. I would have loved for them to pull off an upset here, but I gotta be honest, it feels really good when my favorite movie of the year wins Best Picture. I think this is the first time this has ever happened to me. One Battle After Another is easily my favorite Best Picture winner of the decade. The Academy has been on a really good streak with those the past 4 years. So ultimately, a fun ceremony with tons of hilarious Conan moments and a pretty great set of winners except for Sean Penn. Arguably, this was the best ceremony yet out of this really strong streak of 4 they've had. But I just feel like there's a little something missing, and I think that's some really exceptional speeches. For me, they kind of peaked with Amy Madigan. I don't remember too many others that deeply inspired or moved me. The K-pop Demon Hunter speeches were nice, and I like the All the Empty Rooms one. MBJ and Buckley were very solid, but not my favorites. Even Coogler and PTA, I loved seeing them up there. I mean, again, PTA is my favorite director, but I don't know if any of their speeches will stick with me too terribly much. Part of me feels a little more attached to last year's ceremony, despite it having worse nominees and a couple worse winners. I'll give this one 8.5 Subway Surfers out of 10 Skibbity. It was certainly the best they've been at keeping the ceremony moving and cutting out a ton of the awful filler from previous years. I kinda just wish I felt a little more inspired by a lot of the speeches, independent of who actually won. I am thrilled to see PTA, Coogler, and Jordan with Oscars, don't get me wrong. And I also loved the ending One Battle parody where Conan is officially replaced as host with Mr. Beast! That was the epicest moment in Oscar history. I saw some people actually think they were serious about that. Hilarious. I also still don't know why Markiplier was at the Oscars, but that's epic too. Anyway, before I wrap up for real, what was my final score in terms of my predictions from last week? Drum roll please. I got 19 out of 24 categories correct. Not bad for my first time ever doing this. Well, okay, for live action short, I didn't predict it would be a tie. I don't think anyone did. But my prediction, 2 people exchanging saliva, was one of the winners, so I'm counting that. Who cares? Out of my other correct assessments, I'm really glad I went out on a limb for Mr. Nobody against Putin, considering the math seemed to be in favor of the perfect neighbor. And I'm very glad I pivoted to Michael B. Jordan in the end for actor, while also sticking with one battle in picture. The 5 categories I got wrong were supporting actor, supporting actress, casting, cinematography, and animated short. I can't be too mad about animated short. I don't think anyone ever gets that one right, and it still went to my second place prediction. Most of the rest of these were just trading out sinners for one battle, or one battle for sinners. I guess I'm the most surprised I got casting wrong, but I think we all got a little too cocky for a category that literally didn't exist until now. Cinematography going to sinners instead of one battle makes perfect sense. I'm still happy I stuck to my guns predicting Delroy Lindo for supporting actor, since I think he did have a good chance. And Amy Madigan taking it for weapons was a nice reminder that sometimes you don't have to go with the 2 Juggernaut movies with a combined 29 nominations. Sometimes they'll give it to a lone nominee from a movie, and that's awesome. Again, Amy Madigan did not rank very high amongst all 20 of the acting nominees this year for me, but I'm kind of happiest for her out of the 4 winners. Seeing her give that speech with Aunt Gladys plastered on the big screen at the Academy Awards, like, that's just an awesome sight. What can I say? Well, that's a wrap on this year's Oscars. Early predictions for next year: Dune Messiah Best Picture, because it could be a modern day Return of the King, and Tom Cruise will get Best Actor for Digger because career win, but also he'll probably be good in it. If I'm wrong, oh well, I'm literally shooting blind right now. But wouldn't it be so baller if I get those right? That's about it. Good night, Academy.